everybody. I thought it was about time that I got around to actually doing my answer portion of the question and answer video. I appreciate you all waiting. I know it's taken me a couple days, but I'm now sitting down and I have a moment, so I thought I would fulfill my side of this ordeal, at least as far as answering your questions. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the video comments. There were two video questions. One by O'Kurt and one by a gentleman who goes by the name of Kenny Park. So I thought the very first thing I would do would be answer all the text questions, and then I will move to the two video ones. Now, some of these are kind of involved, so I'm going to do the best I can to answer your questions, and I'll try not to drag it out, simply because of the fact that I don't think that you ask these questions with the purpose of hearing me babble for 20 minutes at a time. So I'm going to start from the top here, and the very first question was posted by Shady1101, and their question was, what's your stance on eugenics? For those of you that don't know what eugenics are, basically, or eugenics is, I should say, basically it's the practice of determination of the traits of birth, using science or breeding to generate a particular set of traits. You know, like for example, the Nazis wanted to have the ultimate Aryan, which is the blonde-haired, blue-eyed, tall, fair-skinned, that kind of thing. Now, that's an interesting question, and one that I never really put much thought into, simply because of the fact that in my life I've never had to deal with eugenics. Nobody in my family has ever pursued it. It's always been a very natural process. They fall in love, they have children. Maybe they don't fall in love, they have children, but it's always, luck of the draw. But as far as what I think about it, I think that to a certain extent it has benefits, as long as they're being used to make a stronger a human being. Now, I'm not talking about height, weight, eye color, hair color, but I'm talking about strengthening the immune system. Being able to breed somebody who has the kind of immune system that the general, colds and flus and stuff like that are very, very resistant against. I think that would be a good thing. But if we're talking about, I want a blonde-haired kid with blue eyes who's going to be good at math, I'm not a big fan of that, but I don't really see, I have a moral dilemma with it, but I don't see it as necessarily a horrible thing. I mean, this is a really involved question that I could debate either side of that. So I think I'll just say that it has its place in the right context. But anything other than that involves a little bit more thought and conversation. So thank you for the question. I hope that answered it for you. The next one is from Rhino1, who is Lindsay, for those of you who don't know, and she asks, in regard to where you are and who you are at this point in time in your life, what parts of that do you take responsibility for? And I would say that I take responsibility for a majority of the aspects of who I am. There are certain things about my personality and certain traits that I have to deal with that are well beyond my personal control. Damages that my father left on me, and just experiences in life that were well outside of my ability to control or manipulate, so I've sort of had to suffer and deal with those. But I think for all intents and purposes, the man that I am, the man that I stand before you, or in this case sit before you as, is the man that I forged. I took those experiences and I took those circumstances and did the best that I could do to make who I am. Now, obviously, physically, I've been sitting on my ass for too long, and I've gotten out of shape, and I'm really antisocial and things like that. So those are choices that I made. Some of them based on things outside of my control, and some of them just simply because that's what I felt was most appropriate. So I think the person that I am now is what I take most responsibility for, because those were decisions that I made in my life, reactions that I made. There are different paths I could have taken, different ways I could have treated other people, different ways I could have handled life. But instead I made choices, very distinct and specific choices, based on my morality, based on my thought process, based on what I felt was right. So I take responsibility for pretty much who I am, I think. So that answers that question, Miss Rhino. I hope you're doing well. I haven't talked to you in a while. The YouTubian cynic, Sid, asks, what's the one question you wish people would ask you? That's a really odd question, because there isn't any. I'm open to any question. I can't think of any question that I really want to talk about. because there's not really anything in my life that's like that. I usually look forward to what people are going to ask because they're not me. So, like, as an example, the eugenics question, I would have never thought to ask myself that. So it's cool that I had somebody do it. So to be honest with you, I have to say I don't know. I don't really think there is a question that I would prefer people ask me. The next one is from Dimebag579. What's up, James? He says, what's your favorite type of movie? Oh, that's an interesting question. I think my favorite type of movie would probably be, and they don't really make these very well. I haven't seen very good ones. I like, for example, I have a fixation on serial killers. So I like the kind of movies that sort of give background to the characters. And the reason why I bring up the serial killers thing, like for example, in Hannibal, you know, in the Silence of the Lambs, I was really disappointed because I thought this was a good opportunity to come to understand the character. If there's a particular, you know, protagonist or antagonist that's the main character, I want to know about the character, what motivates them, what drives them. So any kind of movie that has that, and there are a lot of different types, but I know that you're not going to really see very many comedies or, you know, romance movies that are going to have really heavy-duty character histories and backgrounds. But those, for me, I would say, because I'm interested in knowing about the character, what's driven them to where they are, how did they get there. So that would probably be my favorite type of movie. Because other than that, you know, it depends. It depends on what the plot is about. I mean, I like all different types of films. So it depends on what the plot is. I can't really say that I prefer one over the other. So thank you, James. I appreciate the question. The next one is from Lost Faith, and this is a little bit more involved. I have no problem answering a really personal question if you feel like it. Here's my question for you, though. What are your hopes for your own personal future in any aspect? Career, family, love, life, accomplishments, home, etc. My hopes. Well, that's actually a nifty way of putting it, because it's not what am I expecting, but what are my hopes. I would hope that I eventually found a woman who was crazy enough to marry me. You know, somebody who would stimulate me in all the right ways. You know, I don't have to marry a fashion model. If she is, you know, fascinating and intelligent and funny and just intriguing, you know, to me that's far more important than she looks like. Name your favorite supermodel, whatever. You know, I mean, obviously I want her to be attractive to me, and if she can attract me in those ways, if she can keep me stimulated in those ways, I'm sure she'll be gorgeous. So that would be, I think, a hope, is that I would be able to find love and be together with somebody like that. As far as the accomplishments, home, career, and family, I don't really want kids, so I'd like to meet a woman who doesn't want kids. And living in a nice little house, that would be nice. Something permanent, I think. And as far as career goes, I don't care what I'm doing as long as I'm enjoying myself and I'm enjoying my life. I'd like to be a writer or something like that I can do something creative and get paid for it, but, you know, that's that. So that would be Lost Faith, 1980. Thank you, sir. I appreciate the question. Not Evesy? Not Evesy. I'm sorry if I mispronounced your username. The question is, what person or group inspires you? Artists. Artists and creative people. People who use their natural ability to accomplish things. You know, and an artist doesn't necessarily mean somebody who paints or draws or takes pictures. Somebody who uses their creative outlet to make something. So you could have somebody who solves, like, you know, not a social worker who solves the issue of neighborhood kid gangs by getting the local kids to play basketball or something. Somebody who's creative. Those kind of people inspire me. People that actually are making a difference and making a change in the world by creating something. Those are the kind of people that inspire me. So thank you. Mr. O'Kurt asks a question. He asked a video question. I'm not sure if he's just commenting. Oh no, this is one he didn't originally ask, so I'll move past Mr. O'Kurt. So I will get to you in a second, Kurt. Oh my God, OFMG, it's Mel XD. So oh my fucking God, it's Mel with the X and the D. Okay, and she asks, how do you view humans? I am ever hopeful, but always disappointed. I think that humans, in general, are disgusting creatures. I think that humans are self-centered, egotistical, greedy, obnoxious, violent, crotch-driven beasts. But I do know that there are those that are not, that rise above that, and that give me hope that there's something more to humanity than simply the base urges. So I like to think of it as I wake up every morning full of hope and I go to bed every night completely disappointed. is how I look at it. So that's what I think of humans. I think that there's a lot of potential there, but it's going to waste. And Kenny Park, who posted a video, but he also posted his question here, so I will touch on that. His question was simply, how did you get the name RavenLaughs? That was his video. He says in his video, my name is Kenny Parks. That's Kenny Park, excuse me. Therefore, my username is Kenny Park. Well, Kenny, this is a question I've had asked many, many times in my life here on YouTube. RavenLaughs is actually based on a character that I was playing in a Werewolf the Apocalypse game. I was playing a Nuisha, which is a were-coyote, and his name was Raven Laughs at Fools. So the actual name is Raven Laughs at Fools. Raven being the aspect of coyote that he followed, and Laughs at Fools being his official name. And Raven Laughs just sort of happened that way because of the email address that I used for the character while I was playing the character and wanted to talk to other people in the game. I would send them an email, and from the Raven Laughs accounts that I knew, and it just stuck with me. And I started using that as my username from that point forward. So it just sort of stuck. Plus, I have an affiliation with Raven that I'm really not going to get into at this point. But that's pretty much what that is. So Raven Laughs comes from a character, Raven Laughs at Fools. So that answers your question. And I hope it was all that you were hoping for, because I know you've been waiting. And finally, Mr. O'Kurt asked me, and I'm going to go to his thing right now so that I can tell you exactly what he says. He asked me specifically. He said to me, "Do I believe in monogamy?" Was I believe the question that he asked. Do I believe in monogamy? Or no, he asked, what do I think of monogamy? Well, here's the thing, folks. And forgive me, Kurt, if it's not as clear as you had. That's the general gist that I got from it. I am a monogamous person. Now, I know that there are a lot of people out there that argue that monogamy is a socially, morally enforced concept, and that we as human beings are not monogamous by nature. And then, of course, the argument always goes back to, well, cavemen, they weren't monogamous and blah, 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 blah. Well, whenever somebody throws up the caveman argument in my face when talking about monogamy and how it's not natural, cavemen were also mindless murderers that killed not only for defense, they killed because they could. Yet, people don't go around killing other people without there being repercussions for it. And, on average, killing is a repressed instinct. So even though we're natural killers, we don't do that regularly. So to try and convince me that you want to go and fuck 9 people, well, it's natural. If you can repress your natural urge to kill, you can repress your urge to fuck everything you can get your hands on. Now, I understand that some people out there can't be monogamous. And I'm not going to start spouting off my personal philosophy on why I think that's a load of shit, but I will simply say that to each their own. I think that monogamy can work. I think that people need to rise above themselves and get off their fucking high horse. Some people would say the same thing about me, that my self-righteous attitude about monogamy. Well, you know what? I don't ever think that the solid functional monogamy has spread sexual disease. Yeah, even for every responsible monogamous person, for every irresponsible monogamous person, as in, they're not using protection, how much disease gets spread for people that are sleeping with one person at a time? Interesting. Anyway, so yeah, like I said, my personal philosophy is bleeding into that, and I know that's not what this is about, but that was to answer the question. So I'm sorry, Mr. Kurt, if that didn't give you as much information as you like, but I will just say that I do believe in monogamy. I think that monogamy can work. I think that people just need to be willing to buckle down and deal with the fact that perhaps being dedicated to one person isn't such a bad idea. If you can't handle it, don't do it. So that's simple. So that's pretty much it. That's all the answers to the questions that were asked me, and I appreciate everybody's questions. I know that there were some questions on my warning video. I'm sorry I didn't answer those. I was just focusing on the ones that were posted to this video. So if you still want those answered, just go ahead and respond to this video, and I may make another one, or I just may text answer you. That is, if you still watch me after this one. Quite long. Alright, so until next time.